John, you're currently coming back from a slight injury. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so I just sort of re-aggravated my hamstring, grade 2B. But obviously it was about a 6-week recovery process. 2 weeks in, I had a scan on my knee, did a bit of a clean out while I was injured, just to make sure that everything was sort of fixed. I had a bit of a restriction throughout my career with the range of movement, and hopefully now cleaning out my knee, it sort of frees up a lot of it, and hopefully when I'm back, there's no more issues.
Good. Playing rugby league, injuries and operations are part and parcel that come with the contracts, really.
100%.
Any other injuries in your career? Any notes?
Yeah, my first ever injury was my syndesmosis. Had some screws put in. I was only 16 at the time. At that time, I was a big kid. 12 weeks into my recovery, I was about 120 kilos. So at that time of my career, as a young one, I didn't know much about nutrition and sort of almost quit then and there. And obviously, I had a pretty good support network of my uncle, cousins, dad and mum. That sort of encouraged me along the way. So that was probably my first major one as a youngster. But I've had plenty on the way through my career now. So I've had my C6 disc removed just in 21 before I moved to Leigh. I've had a few clean outs in my knees. I did a MCL, grade 2 MCL, elbows, meniscus and stuff in the other knee. So yeah, I've had my fair share of injuries, but when it comes with the battle of what the game that we love to play. So
you're certainly a respected authority on the subject of injuries because you've experienced them yourself.
Yeah.
I want to just go back a step. You mentioned that at 16 you ballooned up in weight and you nearly quit on the back of the injury. Yep. So there's young 16-year-old. What's going on with your mental health at that time that you're almost quitting the game that you love?
I think for me it was just 16 was the first time I ever made a rep team. So watching a lot of the younger ones come through, watching myself coming through, I was never picked because I was always too big. I had the skill set, I had the brains for the game, but I was never the fittest, never the strongest. So that was like sort of playing on my mind, but then I finally made it in a rep team, and at the end of that year I got injured before a grand final. And then 12 weeks on, I put on so much weight. I was 22 kilos heavier than what I was. At that time, I didn't have the knowledge of nutrition, didn't know what to eat. I just sort of ate mum and dad's cooking because it was actually delicious and it was good. But was it probably the right thing for me to be eating that? Probably not, because it was Polynesian food, and everyone knows Polynesian food is too good to resist. So for me, I was always in love with the game, but I didn't know whether I was able to do the hard yards to get there, to get into the position that I am in now. And I think for me it was a little bit of guidance that was needed, being surrounded by the right people that could help and encourage me to sort of keep pushing. But one of the things that my uncle and my dad said was, it's all this time now is for you to just learn. It's all about learning and having fun. None of the serious stuff starts till you get a bit older. But it's more about the education, more about what you can take out of, the struggles, the pain that you face, the setbacks, people putting you down, people saying that you're not good enough. These are the lessons that you learn along the way that builds the character of who you really are and who you're really going to be. And I think all those lessons throughout my career up until now has really put me in a really good place. And I think one of the main things for me was my faith. Mum and dad very high in church, and they really instilled that faith in me with teaching us the word and how we got to trust God and in all our situations, and that's probably what I've carried throughout my whole career. It's not always perfect. Some days you always question why does this happen to me, and for me personally, like I've always got to put that, like, you know, sometimes God will stop you from doing things that you probably think is right for you, but it's not. And then, like, as a, you know, as flesh, for us, it's hard to understand that. But that's what faith is. Faith is always about believing what is unseen, believing in things that you don't know what's going to happen. You just got to trust someone that's just higher than you, and that's what I've really built my career on.
Good. I think you've emphasised there the importance, certainly when you're recovering from an injury, is the importance of a good support network.
Yeah.
And you've said that perfectly with the family that you've got around you, the
Yeah.
church. That's your network that you
Yeah.
can lean on when you need that little bit of extra support.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, when things get tough, a lot of people disappear, and only the main people stick around and encourage you. And I think that's when you need to really know who's in your circle, who's your real support network. People have always sort of told me how good I could be, but then when things didn't go right, they disappeared and they never stuck around. And the ones that really mattered, they're still there now. So.
Yeah, good. So you're currently injured now, you told us that at the beginning.
Yeah.
What do you do to keep away the doubt and the negative thoughts? And, you know, you're not able to play rugby league right now. You're not able to contribute to the team and help them be successful. You're injured. You're not fit for purpose currently. How do you cope with that?
Yeah, it's a bit different. As you see, I've been sitting next to Lemmy a fair bit over the last few weeks, and I think my mindset has changed from being a player to now being sort of more of a coach. I don't speak too much in meetings. I actually don't say anything. I sort of sit there and just listen.